Okay, hello everyone. So you are in Caitlin's Kiln Techniques class, and you've gotten to the section where you're interested in pulling frit or enamel through a screen onto glass and, for lack of a better word, just screen print on glass. This is a sort of a lengthy process. It's a little tough to get it right, and when you do get it right, it's still not quite perfect, but we're screen printing on glass with glass powders and glass enamels, and that's pretty magical in and of itself. So let's go ahead and get started. Basically, by the end of this video, you're going to be shown how to take an image, which I'm going to use this image here, and how to take that image and turn it into something that you're going to print onto a screen in order to be able to pull your powders or your enamels through that screen in order to get your image on glass. And it's similar to just regular screen printing. There's a few key differences in that we're pulling powders and enamels and not, just regular ink. So we've got to follow a few rules in our department in order to make it work best for us. This video is specifically for Caitlin's Kiln Techniques class. Please don't take this and use it as a surefire way to do all kinds of screen printing. I encourage you to take a screen printing class at Tulane University to learn more about the process. But by the end of this video, hopefully you'll be able to take this image and either break it up into its CMYK color profiles or just a typical black and white or monotonal piece in order to get something like this. And you've probably all seen something like this before. It kind of looks like the old-timey newspapers where they would print images. And what'll basically happen is that wherever there's black, here you'll be able to pull or squeeze a little bit of enamel or powder through, and it'll layer up. And if you look at it far enough back, if you just go home and look at it, you'll be able to really see that this image looks similar to what we're going to go for. So I'm just going to exit this out. And let's start. Okay, so I've got my image. I found an image that I like, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it with Photoshop. Okay, so when you first open an image, this is kind of where you're going to be. The typical Photoshop layout. Don't get scared. Not all of us are Photoshop users. I'm not a Photoshop user, but I became a Photoshop user. And by the end of this video, you will become a Photoshop user yourself if you're not already one. But this is sort of our home screen. And our initial process is to make sure that our resolution is how we want it and that our image size is how we want it. So this is going to depend on your class, how many people are in it, how many screens are available to use. But we're going to go ahead and make ours around the size of a sheet of paper, an 8.5 by 11. This is a square, obviously, so it'll probably be more like 8.5 by 8.5. But we can do that by going up to Image here, Image Size, or Command Option I. And we're going to make our resolution 300. And we're going to make our height 8. And you can, I like to keep all these things linked together so that it just does it on its own, and you're not, adding or subtracting pixels or cutting things or, doing anything that I'm not a Photoshop user, but I know this works. So our resolution is 300, and I'm just going to change my height to 8, and it'll kind of automatically adjust the width to how it needs to be. Okay, cool. And if I press Command 0, it'll bring my image back to the center of my work screen. So now we're here. We've got our image. It's the right size of how, like, the size we wanted on our screens. The resolution is 300, which is all great. And for a black and white, so we're going to start with our black and white, our monotonal. It'll obviously change depending on the enamel color you use or the frit powder color you use, but this is all going to be a one-tone piece. And the way to begin with that is we're going to go to our edit. We're going to go down here to convert to profile. And mine automatically goes to gray gamma 2.2, but yours may not. And what you're going to want to do is just kind of scroll through until you find gray gamma 2.2. Boop. And you're going to press OK. Now, this sort of turns it into this black and white photo, but we've still got a little work to do. In order to have the best image on your screen, you really want these dark areas to be really dark and all these light areas to be really light. To have that kind of contrast, because whenever you turn it into a bitmap, it'll end up looking a lot better, and you're gonna get closer to the image you want. So let's go to contrast. That's an image adjustments. Let's just do that one more time. Image adjustments, brightness / contrast. Let's turn up my contrast and see what it does to this image. So already right there, my dark lines got really dark, the light got really light. I lost a little bit of my sun back here, so maybe I can see what I can do about playing with the brightness. Ooh, okay. So this is a little better. I get my sun still. I still got really dark lines. These colors are clearly different, and that's what we want. We really just want to make sure that all of our colors and all of our depth and our tones are kind of clearly different, so that whenever we print it, they'll hopefully be clearly different on our screen. So I like this. I'm going to press OK. So now, just to recap, we've got our image size. We've got our image resolution. It's 300. We've turned our image into this gray gamma 2.2 profile. And now we're going to go over here to our mode in the properties under canvas, our mode, and we're going to bitmap it. Boop. Okay, so now our first dialog box will be bitmap, and it'll probably start, if you haven't done it before, with this diffusion dither thing. We're going to turn it to halftone screen, and the input, which is 300 pixels, that is defined by what we started whenever we were doing our image size. It was 300, and we want our output to stay 300. So this all looks good. 300, halftone screen, okay. Now we're in our halftone screen dialog box, and the frequency has to do with how big or how many of these little dots are in your final output per lines per inch. And so we found that a frequency of about 18 works really well. 18 to 20 works really well, and we can just take a look real quick. But if I press 18 and my angle is 45, and that's just the way those dots sort of go, and my shape is round, I press OK. And now we've got our image. And we got all these dots. They kind of fade in and out to kind of give us these color contrasting things here. And that's it. I'm just going to Command Z that and try it one more time. But this time, output 300, halftone screen. This time we're going to make our frequency 45. Okay. See how there's so many more? And the image is a lot clearer. It's more obvious. But the problem with this is that ink or your enamels and powder won't squeeze through these fine dots. It just won't happen. We tried it, we tested it, it won't work. So I'm gonna Command Z that. Let's do it one more time. 300 halftone screen. Let's take it down to 2. Angle 45. Boop. Now they're huge, but we've totally lost the essence of our image. I mean, you get the outlines a little bit, but it's just not very good. So let's it's the dots are way too big. So we found that 18 is a good number. So I'm just going to do it one more time. Mode, bitmap, output 300, halftone screen, okay. 18, and our angle for the black and white is just 45. It'll change when we get into our CMYK, and I'm going to press OK. And there we go. Now we've got our image, and I'm going to save that, and I've already got it saved, so I'm going to take us back. So this is it, and then we'll get back to this on printing it out on our transparency. But this is our black and white screen, and we'll pull our enamels and powders through this, and this is the image that we're going to kind of get. It's not perfect, but again, this isn't an inkjet printer. This is us dragging powders and frits and enamels through a screen to try and get the most of what our image is. So let's I'm just going to take us back all the way to our color image. And now we're going to try and do a CMYK. So the CMYK will hopefully allow us to get all of these different colors in here. And when we're dealing with pigments, CMYK means cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And pigments, when they combine the CMYK, they give us all of the colors in the spectrum. On a screen, they've got these little diodes, and the diodes are red, green, and blue, RGB. And those colors combined in light give us all of the colors of the visible spectrum. But when we're printing, we want to be in CMYK. So you can go back to your mode here, and we are going to click CMYK color. Boop. And basically it's going to do it in the computer for us. And you can go over to this channels tab here, and it'll break it up into your cyan, magenta, and yellow, and black plates. And when they all sort of combine, you get your full thing. So if I looked at just cyan, let's say I click here. Well, they're all combined, but I'll show you what to do later to combine them back to see what you're going to get. So we've turned our image into a CMYK, and we've gone on over to our channels tab to look at the fact that we've got CMYK. And what we're going to do is actually split these channels so each of them has their own tab, because we're going to edit them all separately. And then boop. Each of them will turn into their own screen that you're going to pull through. Either pull through just the cyan color, just the magenta color, just the yellow, just the black. So let's split channels, and again, that's right here, this little box here. Doop, split channels, and that will show us up here. We've got 4 different tabs now: a cyan tab, a magenta tab, a yellow, and a black. And they're all sort of different, but when all these things combine together, they give us our image. So let's open up our initial image. Doop, boop. And let's make sure our image size is the same. 300. We set a height of 8. Okay. And 0. I'm going to actually remove this background. Okay. And I actually want white background. Okay, deselect. So this will just be for later when we combine them all back. But now we can basically do the same process to each of these individual layers. Our cyan layer, we're going to bitmap it. We're going to bitmap magenta layer we're going to bitmap. We're going to bitmap all of these, and then when they combine back together, they'll give us our image. And let me just get this in CMYK in our channels, and they'll combine back together to give us our full color image. So let's try it. So we're on cyan, and the thing about these is that they're all gonna be angled a little differently. So cyan, let's bitmap 300 halftone screen, 18 frequency is what we've found to be good. And for cyan, we're actually gonna do 15 degrees. And what this has to do with is the angle that these dots are kind of going. So as you can kind of see, if I zoom in a little bit, the angle is kind of like doop, 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 or boop, 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 if you want to see it that way. Now, so that's pretty good. Let's go over here. Bitmap, 300, halftone screen, 18 frequency. And for magenta, our angle is going to be 75. Okay. And now you can see kind of the difference. One, the angle's going that way. The second, the angle's going this way. Yellow is an angle of 0. Doop. Okay, and that's just straight up and down or straight side to side. And then black, bitmap, 300, halftone screen, 18 frequency. Black is our 45 degrees, and that just goes from corner to corner. Okay, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. It's all kind of weird. This doesn't look like our image. It doesn't have any color in it. What is going on here? Well, let's copy all these things and put it back into our original image in their original channels. And let's see what our image looks like. So I'm going to Command A for select all and Command C for copy. And let's go into our cyan here and paste. So now you've got a cyan plate here. And when you look at it, you've just pulled cyan through here, you know, hypothetically on your screen, and this is the image you get. So that's our cyan channel. Let's go over to magenta, Command A, Command C, and we'll put this into our magenta. And now you can look at it. Now we've got blue and magenta, and our colors are kind of starting to come together. And as you can see right here, when cyan and magenta combine, they give us a little bit of blue. And because these angles are different, you can see the pinks or the magentas are going this way, the cyans are kind of going this way. They overlap just ever so slightly in order to give us the best color differentiation. Plus, you can kind of see it's giving us a little bit of this rounded pattern here. There's a name for this pattern. I don't know what it is, but it's supposedly a lot prettier than, you know, if they were all the same angle. They would overlap and it would be kind of ugly. So let's get our yellow in. Copy into our yellow channel. Ooh, here we go. It's starting to come together. It's starting to look like our initial color image. And let's do black. Copy, black, paste. And now when we look at our image and we kind of zoom back a little bit, this is what we get. And again, you know, it's all dotty and it's not the image because we're going to be pulling these through a screen. But when you kind of take a step back, this is pretty close to what our original image is. And I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so what we're going to do is save all of these separately as separate individual files, because what you're going to do is print this and pull just cyan through here. Print this and just pull magenta, just pull yellow, just pull black. And then whenever they all combine, you can kind of see here, they turn into this image. Okay, I'm going to take us over to the print. Don't save. I've already saved these separately a previous time. And as you can see, I've got my plates here, a cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and then our initial one, which was just a black and white. So I'm going to put these over in the folder, and we're going to print these on transparency. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a lot. Feel free to go back and look so that you can make this happen for your own images. All right, take care.